Hi, I'm Mark Richard Adams, Post-Production Specialist. Come join me on Colour Me In for another post-production demonstration. And welcome back. Today we're going to look at Resolve and we're going to look at the waveforms. Now, waveforms is something that I've looked at slightly in sort of grading demos. But today I just want to give a very basic outlook of what a waveform sort of is really and how to use it. In Resolve it's quite cool. We've got sort of a 1-up, 2-up and 4-up display. At the minute I'm just going to keep it 4-up, although I'm not going to really focus on at least one of these. Very basically, top right hand corner we have the waveform, and the waveform is giving us an indication of how much luminance or darkness is within an image. Okay, so this 0 line here is basically considered in HD world as peak black, and this 1023 line is considered peak white. Okay, so anything within that is showing you sort of mid-range of lights and darks. This particular image here, we're going to do a little test here, which is trying to work out what these images are, but we'll get back onto that in a minute. The Vectorscope, on the other hand, is quite interesting because the Vectorscope isn't looking at the luminosity of the image necessarily. It's looking at the chrominance or the colour information within that clip. So this particular circle area here, if this light patch here wasn't there, the image would be black and white. Okay, but the more this pulsation here pushes out towards these boxes, the richer the colour will be. And you can see within these boxes we've got red, magenta, blue, cyan, green and yellow. Now if you imagine an imaginary line between these boxes, if you draw a line between these boxes, if this particular lighting area here goes beyond that line, then that colour will more than likely be illegal. But before you even get there, it's probably going to be pretty rich anyway. Okay, so the parade is going to give us an idea of the RGB channels within the image. So again, very similar to the waveform, we've got the 0 and the 1023 line here, we've got the darks and the lights, but this is giving us a colour perspective from a red, green, blue idea of what's in the image. So you can see that we've got more of a push to the high-end blues in this image than we would have the high-end reds. Okay, but there still is red, green and blue within this image. Okay. And then we've got the histogram. I'm sort of going to ignore the histogram because I don't often use it. This gives a sort of side-on look at the push towards the RGB and also the luminosity of the image as well, but it's a little bit harder to tell. So I'm going to ignore this one for now. So we have 3 images on the timeline. We have this one, and this one. Okay, so we're going to start with the simplest one, which is going to be this. Now, I teach this particular demo a lot. It's a very short demo in regards to how can you work out what an image is? Can you work out what an image is within without actually looking at the image? Because a good grader will actually look at the Vectorscope and waveform and parade first, before they really look at the image, to give them an idea of what is in that image. So this is always a good way of actually trying to work out what the images are. So if we look at this one, if we look at it from a waveform perspective, we can see that we have a quite a strong band of black here. Let me turn this I wonder if we can turn this up anymore. Let's just reduce the grayscale actually, just so we can see those lines. So this image is particularly black, and you can see by this white light here, this image is particularly black. We've got a really strong, almost consistent black line across here. We've also got, as we go up, a very, very bright part of the image with some graduation coming down within this image, but it's almost sort of circular, almost like a tunnel of light. So we've got a black area and we've got this peak white area in here, and with some graduation going down. So I know there are some greys that are coming down into this image. What do we think that image could be? Well, let's just jump over to the Vectorscope. Not particularly rich in colour either. Okay, very, very, very could be sort of almost black and white, this image, but there is a tweak of colour there, pushing towards the reds and the yellows, but not much. Let's have a little look. It's the moon. So you can see by the scope here, you know, we've got that tunnel of light, which is the tunnel of light here, the brightness here, and then we've got the graduation coming down, which is this graduation of the moon here, this darkness, these seas, as they would call them on the moon. And not really much colour in, but there is a tinge of yellow, and the Vectorscope is picking that up. Okay, good, well done. Next one. let's go to this image here. Right. Okay. Now this image, if we look at the waveform, not particularly dark. There's nothing really black in this image, and that's what that would indicate. There's nothing here, therefore there is nothing there. There is no black parts of this image, true black parts of this image, and actually it's sitting about 20%, 15% up, something like that. So we've got an image that is quite, that is lighter than normal. We don't have anything going to the peak whites either, so we don't have anything peak white. Now that could be due with the fact that there isn't any peak white in the image, or the whites in the image are just not true white. There might be some graduation. There's lots of graduation in this. We've got graduation from some, almost like 9% down all the way through to some darker areas here. So we've got an image, there's lots of whites, but there's also no real blacks in there. Okay, then if we go over to the Vectorscope, we've got one strong blue line pushing out, well, in between, more towards the blue than the cyan, pushing directly out. There's no other colour in this image, it's just pushing out. So we've got lots of blue, or pushing towards the blue, and we've got white undulations. So let's have a look. See? You can suddenly start to work it out. We've got the clouds. Look, there's no peak whites in these clouds. I mean, I could have colour corrected this image to bring out those clouds if I wanted to, but no, there is no need. And you can see the graduation, of course, in this blue as well, which is the indication of that curve on the blue there. So that's a more complex image to look at, but again, many people could guess that image from just looking at the waveform. And let's go to a more complex image. Okay, so more going on in this image, more going on. So this is going to be trickier to work out. So we have there are lots of dark areas here, some dark areas. We've got some really peak whites, touching peak whites here. You can see how the image is broken up. There's something on this side, something on this side, and then we've got almost see this curve here, this curve. There's a graduation curve here of something that's going through the entire image, but there is something in the foreground here that has a dark element. And then we've got sort of, over the right hand side of the image, there aren't many darks, I would say. There's a little peak there. And then, if we look at the Vectorscope, we've got two strong pushes, one towards the blue and one towards the yellow-green area, more towards the yellow, but let's see. So, more complex, that image, more going on, but if we have a quick look, so we've got an oak tree and we've got the sky in the background, quite bright. You can see the right hand side of this image is absolutely correct. There's nothing real dark in it, but these dark images here, these branches underneath the shadow of the leaves, that's what's coming out here, the darkness here, darkness down there. And then of course we've got the sky that sort of almost rolls behind it. And you can see the sky rolling behind these trees here. You can actually see it in a waveform perspective. So quite interesting. And also you can see from the parade, we've got a lot of push towards the high-end blues, strong green presence, stronger dark green presence as well here. And we've also got some red. So it's a more complex image, but again, from the waveform of the Vectorscope, we can actually start breaking down what these images are before we even look at them. And I advise you to do that with anything as well. Any image you get, make sure that whether you're in Resolve or Avid or Premiere or Final Cut Pro 10, get the waveform up and have a look, because this is going to tell you what the colours are actually from a legality perspective. It's really important. And it will help your grading, it will help your editing, it will help you create that look that you're after when you're making a film or a documentary or whatever it is. You always want your films to stand apart from the rest, and grading is such a key way of making your film stand apart. Okay, just like the sound is, but grading is so important. And I advise you to look at more of my videos, so please subscribe and like if you can. But hope you enjoy it. Get a few images, get on Resolve or another application, and just compare the images to the waveform and see what you can learn from it, and see how you can then colorize those images too. Great, hope you enjoyed that lesson. See you next time. If you like that video, please give me a like or subscribe, or type in down below demos you'd like to see next. Catch you next time.